Hey guys, welcome back. Crazy Shoe Lady here with another shoe related video. So summer is almost here. Get your socks ready. The best kind of socks are the socks that do not show. And today we're going to be talking all about no-show socks for all kinds of footwear. I've tried basically all of them. Sheec, Gekks, Amazon, generic brand, Winners, Asian brands, grocery store brands. I don't know. I've tried all of them. And today I'm going to share what works and what does not work and my favorites. Because the worst thing you can do with no-show socks is A, have them show, or B, have them slide off as you're walking. So this video is not sponsored. If you're ready, put on a pair of socks and let's get into the video. So in this video, we're going to be talking about socks for heels, flats, loafers, mules, slingbacks, and basically runners and all kinds of footwear. And I'm going to be trying on the socks, talking about the importance of sizing and what the sizing can do, what Sheec has to offer, and a lot of the competitors such as Gekks and some normal brands as well. Before we dive into that, you're probably wondering, why do we need to wear socks inside of our summer shoes? So reason number one being that you're protecting your feet from the shoes, because it is uncomfortable when your skin is rubbing up against leather constantly, especially if the leather is tougher. So it's going to protect your feet from getting blisters, sores, and cuts. Reason number two is to protect your shoes from your feet. So because we're human, our feet do sweat, and in the summertime, because it's hot as well, and your feet are trapped inside of closed-toe shoes especially, and it can cause bacteria, odor, dirt, and grime to build up on the interior of your shoes, and over time, that can start to peel the leather from the inside. If you want to have very clean shoes, if your shoes are expensive, you want to protect it, you want to, get the most wear out of it for as long as possible, then you want to probably wear socks, just like you would with running shoes and with boots and other sort of footwear. Let's first talk about the most common type of shoes, which is the closed toe, flats, or heels, and the best socks for those. So before I talk about my favorite socks, let's talk about some of the other socks that I've tried on. So brand number one is this brand called Gekks. And Gekks kind of make an interesting sock in the sense that it's a stick-on sock. So the sock is actually stuck onto the shoes, and there's a sticker on the sole, there's a sticker on the heel, which is on the back of the shoe. I'll just open this up and show you guys what it looks like. With these Gekks socks, it kind of looks like a shoe in a sense. So you would peel off all the liners, stick it onto your shoe, stick the back onto the shoe. So the pros of the Gekks is that you can theoretically don't have to worry about your socks. You can just put these in the shoes and you can just wear the shoes whenever, and it's almost like a built-in liner for the shoe. This is supposed to be antibacterial, machine washable, and with these stickers, when you peel them off, you can actually reuse them after wash, or you can actually peel another layer off. There's actually 2 layers of stickies, so you can kind of get like 2 sticks out of it. But the problem that I have with these Gekks is that these stickies are not too sticky. So sometimes they can end up starting to fall and they don't stick that well on the shoes. Number two, it's kind of expensive because one of these, it's like $10 or something like that. And if you're going to buy them for all of your shoes, that can add up. And I'd rather have one pair of socks you can wear for all your shoes than have to buy socks specifically for the shoes. But if you have like one pair of shoes that you especially wear a lot and you want to try Gekks, then definitely give it a shot. So another thing I don't like about this is that when you peel these socks off of the shoes, especially if it's like a leather insole, it can kind of rip some of the leather off. And I've had that placed in my Ferragamos and I ripped it off, and you can see where the tape kind of pulled off pieces of the leather. So you kind of have to be careful with that as well. They're an okay alternative. And then with some generic brands, like I've got some from Winners, some of the issues from these no-show socks, and you probably see them a lot. So if you can find one that's actually low cut, the problem is that, so you definitely want a sticky silicone area in the back because you don't want to slide off the heel. But a lot of the issues with these generic brand is that while these socks are just okay because they've got the silicone grip, because it lacks the silicone all the way, especially in the toe area, it will move. It's not going to stay in place as well. And in those shoes that are a little bit lower coverage, these are going to show. So that's my problem with generic brands and a lot of the other ones that I've tried. So now let's talk about Sheec, because they are my favorite brand for no-show socks and the best that I've tried so far. So they make a range of no-show socks. This is not an ad, by the way. This is just me sharing these wonderful socks with you because they are kind of a game changer. So with these Sheec socks, the benefit of these is that they are really low cut. So there's the Secret 3.0s, which are super low cut, I think they work really well even in those pumps where there's even toe cleavage. So these can even work in those cases. So the good thing about the Sheeks that make them stand out from the rest of the brands is, as you can see here, there is a silicone on the pad of your foot that grips onto the shoes a little bit more. And there is silicone all the way along the heel of the sock, and silicone all the way across the toes of the sock as well on the inside. So what that means is that you can position these socks however you like on your foot. You can move them down so that way there's less coverage, or move them up so there's more coverage. And the silicone will grip your feet so that way it does not really move as much as, say, some of the generic brands. So I find that these work really well in flats and in heels. So the sizing for these Secret 3.0s, I have tried the medium, the large, and the extra large, and I want to tell you guys how the sizing will affect the fit and the comfort. Okay, so I have the medium Sheek socks here, and I have the large here and the extra large here. Okay, so here I have the medium and the large. So in comparison, I'm gonna put this just overlapped on top of each other. You can kind of see that the large is gonna be wider, and it looks like it's a little bit longer as well. So my shoe size is about, it really ranges depending on the shoes, but I would say on average it's a size 8. And I originally bought a lot of mediums, and the problem that sometimes you can run into when you buy socks that are a little bit smaller than your actual foot size is that over time, because these socks will stretch, you'll start to get holes in the toe area. Also, when socks are too small, they will make it more uncomfortable when you wear them inside the shoes, because they're gonna put a lot of restraint and a lot of pressure on your toes to kind of push everything into the sock, if you will. So they're a little bit less comfortable if the socks are too small. So for this pair of large sock that I have on the right side here, because it's wider, it's gonna be a lot more comfortable if you have wider feet. And because it's longer as well, you don't have to stretch as much, and it's gonna be less of a chance you're gonna end up with a hole at the toes. So personally, I think that if you can get away with a larger size that can still not show, then I would definitely size up. So I think the large actually fits me better than the medium, even though I've bought so many pairs of the medium. Another thing is that if you're working with shoes that have a lot of toe cleavage, or there is very little coverage of the shoe, so you require a sock that's really not going to show, then in that case you might want to size down, because it's so small, when you pull it, it's not going to have as much coverage on your feet, because everything is stretching out, and this is going to pull away from your feet. Whereas the larger one, it's going to sit more flush because it doesn't have to stretch as much. So you might end up with a little bit more sock show, if you will. So those are factors to consider to determine which sizing you should pick. So now let's talk about the extra large. So I just bought this for the lulz, I just wanted to try. So as you can see here in the extra large, the length is about the same. The length is very similar to the large, however, it's wider again from the large. So I tried the extra large on because I thought, if the large is going to be more comfortable, then wouldn't the extra large be the most comfortable? But the answer is not quite. So the problem with the extra large is that it's going to show, because there's so much extra fabric, it's a lot wider, so the edges of the sock is going to start showing. It might be more comfortable, but it's not worth the sacrifice of having no show socks become show socks. So now let's talk about loafers. So the only difference between loafers and flats/heels is that there's a little bit more coverage of the actual shoes. So you're actually less fussy about the type of socks that you wear. So you can either stick with the same socks and wear the Secret 3.0s, which are pretty universal. If you can wear low coverage shoes with these socks, you can wear all sorts of shoes, right? So you can either go with this, or for more comfort, because the problem with these low cut socks is that it does end right at that bone of your foot, right at that corner where most of the bunions form, and it can rub right on that bone, right? So if you can have more coverage and the shoe allows for that, then you can get a little bit of a mid cut instead of a low cut, and there's more coverage of the sock, so it's going to be more comfortable. This one's also seamless as well. Okay, so let's talk now about slingbacks. Now, this is one of the hardest category of shoes for me personally to find a pair of no-show socks that actually works. Specifically, I'm talking about this pair of Chanel slingbacks. So this is a beautiful pair of shoes. It's an expensive pair of shoes. That's why for that reason alone, I don't feel comfortable just going all in, without any sort of socks, because I want to protect the interior of these shoes so that way it can last forever and ever. So now this was a really difficult challenge. You're probably thinking, they're slingback socks. Why don't you just wear those? So these are the slingback socks that you can usually buy either on Amazon. Sheec does make these slingback socks as well. So these seem like it would work, right? All you have is this little tiny toe area section, and then you have this clear strap slingback. So I'll try on the Chanel slingbacks with these socks to show you why it does not work. These straps do not end where you want them to end, and especially with these Chanel slingbacks, you can see that on this side, it's basically open. So it's not like the strap goes on both sides. This side is almost like a Dorsey pump. So you're gonna see that transparent strap running along the side, which is not gonna look great. All right, so in my search for the next best thing, I tried what's called a soction. And this is almost like a little toe cushion that Sheec sells as well. And how these are supposed to work is that there's a silicone grip on the bottom, and you essentially put your pinky toe and your big toe in like this, and then this would sit on the bottom of the shoe, so that way when you sweat, it kind of gets into this soction instead of getting into your shoes. And it's supposed to provide a little bit more padding as well. So the reason this does not work is because even for strapless heels or strapless sandals, I don't really like these things because the padding, yes, it's supposed to make things softer, but as you can see, it is quite padded. And the problem with this is that when you're working with heels, especially with a very constricted toe box, it doesn't have a lot of room in it. So by wearing this, you're essentially pushing your feet higher up in the shoe, which is gonna make it a lot more constricting and tight and uncomfortable because these do take up some space. So that's why these don't tend to work very well, and I am quite disappointed with them. So this is not gonna work for the slingbacks as well because it's gonna make just overall wearing the shoe less comfortable, and who wants to do that, right? So before giving up, I did try another thing that I saw on Amazon. So it's this thing called a foot nursing pad. And this does look very interesting, and it looks very promising as well. So what it is, it's almost like a little toe cover. So it's got the silicone grips on the bottom. There's no sides at all to this thing, and you can just slide your feet in, and surprisingly, it actually stays. And because this is all mesh over here, it almost gives it like a hosiery? It almost gives it like a stocking kind of feel, so it doesn't rub as much, and it doesn't take up a lot of space in the toe area because of how thin this fabric is. So I actually love these things. I find that they work the best for the Chanel slingbacks, and for any kind of slingback shoes or shoes that might have the Dorsey pump or the open sides, I find that these work really well. The only problem is if you're to go to someone's house and you're wearing them, and you take off your shoes and you're wearing them, people are probably like, what the heck are these? But okay, and next is sneakers. Sneakers is pretty common. Everybody wears sneakers, right? And I find that these Active X Sheec socks, there's the low cut and the medium cut and a high cut. Of course, get the lowest cut if you want to be more versatile with all kinds of shoes. But these socks work really great with sneakers, are very comfortable, and they do not slide off because once again, there's silicone grip on the inside of the heel. So I have tried sneaker socks that as you're walking, the heel starts to slide off and then all of your socks starts to bundle at the toe area, but you won't have those issues with this Active X socks. All right, so last but certainly not least, let's talk about the mule shoes. So the mule shoe is actually not an easy shoe to find a no-show sock for. And there's a couple of reasons behind that. So especially for the Hermes mules, I do find the Hermes mules are very slippery. They don't grip as well on the interior like some of the other brands. And without the friction of your feet itself against the shoe's not gonna stay on. I know that Sheec does make these mule socks, which are kind of cute. It does have a silicone grip on the bottom, I assume, to kind of grip onto the shoes. And there's two versions that they sell. They sell this kind of a more nylon version, and they also sell a cotton version that you can wear for those sneaker mules that, if you sweat a little bit more, you would probably get the cotton one. And these mule socks, they also have a silicone grip on the top, on the inside as well, you can see here. So I've given these a try, and I'll show you a video of me wearing these when I'm wearing the Hermes mules, and they just don't work. Because they're so nice and they glide so easily, they're just gonna slide right inside the shoes because there's basically no friction holding your feet into the shoes. I think it's just impossible to wear no-show socks. You're gonna have to just wear it as is, like wear it as a slipper with your bare feet, because I don't think wearing a sock is possible for being able to walk in them, unfortunately. If you guys have found any mule socks or socks you can wear inside of mules that's worked really well, please leave me a comment down in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you guys found it helpful. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.